Every journey leaves a story behind. From remote roads and unexpected encounters to life-changing adventures across the globe, these are the experiences that shape who we become. Welcome to People, Places, and Things. And now your host, Ryan Lowe. Let's hit the road.
Welcome to People, Places, and Things. And today we have Tom Weiser and Kevin Murphy with Nerpa Travel. Welcome, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, certainly. So you've built this cool adventure company, and we'll get into more of that later. But I wanted to dive into more of your backgrounds and what led you to travel.
This, right, I'm not going to necessarily start talking, but every time me and Kev have done a podcast, we get a question. We're like, well, who's going to go first? So I'm gonna be the bigger man and say, after you, Kevin.
After me? Oh, such a gentleman. For me, the whole travel bug started with the most predictable gap year known to students. Really, it was in between high school and university. Everyone wanted to go to Thailand. I'd just seen The Beach, the film, and wanted to live Leo DiCaprio's best life. So I went out to Southeast Asia in preparation for a degree in wildlife photography, which then, after that, took me into wanting to travel further and using my career as a way to travel. But what cut my kind of wildlife dream was I got diagnosed with epilepsy in the first year of university. So my entire degree was entirely pointless by the end of the first year. So I started looking into other methods, and then graduated and found some people to do the Mongol Rally with, and participated in the Mongol Rally. Life-changing event, as you well know, Ryan. It turns you around, and then ended up working on it since 2015 until you and I met. And yeah, so it's just been trying to make it my career and try and, enjoy my career as well. And doesn't make a lot of money, but it's it can be fun at the best of times and an absolute nightmare at the worst of times. But it's the life we chose, and I'm happy we're kind of continuing with it.
Yeah, so you guys did the Mongol Rally together, right? This big overlanding tour.
We
did
were
not?
I feel like the only fraud in the building because I didn't do it. I just worked it with Kev, and it was such like this really serendipitous way that me and Kev ended up meeting each other, because I did a gap year as well. I didn't go to Thailand. I went to sunny St. Petersburg and did a winter learning Russian, and then came back, did my degree in history. Realized that I'm not getting a job off the back of being. I'm not going to be a professional historian, and I didn't want to do the sort of, like. I'm not sure what it's like in the States, but in the UK, there's a big thing about when you get into the end of second year of university or college that you start looking for internships and getting in with like traineeships or to get sort of corporate jobs. And that just seemed like the most painful potential life avenue. So I decided to do a master's. I did a master's in human rights, and I thought I'll work in the human rights field. Really passionate about it. I wanted to be one of those people who was like report writing, like on the ground report writing in human rights in like conflict zones, which probably in hindsight I got far too weak a stomach to ever do. But anyway, so I was just like, okay, this is what I need to do. I can't get an internship to do that because I can't afford to move to New York or Switzerland. So how do I build a CV that will like mean one day maybe I can get into it? So I thought I'll work in the charity sector. Looks good. So I got a job in Bristol at a children's hospice, and I moved to Bristol. I got the job and I moved to Bristol on what must have been 2 weeks notice. And if you've ever moved city in a really short time period, you go and you look at all of these houses, and British houses are sort of, you get what you can. They're not the best. And the first place I saw that looked remotely livable, I was like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll move in straight away. And it just happened to be this monstrous house share, not the people, the building. It was like the Adams family building. But Kev and his partner Amanda were two of the 14 people living in that house share.
It was insane.
It was insane and gross, and yeah,
Like a frat house almost, right?
It was, but
yeah.
just of wayward souls from all over the place and who didn't want to be in the same environment. Like there were certain people like Tom and I, we had very similar interests and things like that. But there were other people in the house who, I mean, when they moved out, they made it very clear that they didn't like me. So yeah,
it's weird. They made it really clear that they loved me.
Yeah, they did. They did. It was a very, very strange house. And as Tom was saying, that British houses are pretty shoddy. I think the house is older than America.
God.
If you pull one friendship, out of like just meeting and being roommates randomly, that's all you can hope for, I would say. Pull a good friendship out of it. So what led you to the Adventurists? I know you did the Mongol Rally and a little earlier than I did, in 2013 or something?
Yeah.
But what led you to the Adventurists and that organization?
So I, as I said earlier, I did a degree in wildlife photography. I moved to Bristol because Bristol is essentially the Hollywood of wildlife television. When I first moved here, there were about 100 production companies in a pretty small city that, you can walk across in an hour. So yeah, they were pumping everything out. All the David Attenborough and the BBC series were there, and it's the place to be. And I wanted to break into the TV industry, so I got a shitty job working in a basement of a TV production company, and I hated it. And then I saw that the Adventurists were looking for an operations person, and turns out they were in Bristol. So I just went and handed in my CV. And because it's the Adventurists, it was like, oh yeah, you did that recently, didn't you? Yeah, you come and work. So it was that type of thing. And when I did the Mongol Rally, I was pretty loud about wanting to make a film and things like that. So my obnoxious voice probably got me the job. And then the finish line of the Mongol Rally was in Russia. And I was like, who do I know that spent a winter in St. Petersburg that can speak Russian? So Tom came out to Russia and was essentially the mouthpiece for all of the logistics out in Russia.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I was going to say there's like, yeah. So Kev, I heard about the Mongol Rally because there was a TV show years ago with Ozzy Osbourne's son who
Jack
did it.
Osbourne, baby.
I think,
yeah.
and it inspired like a generation of people to do it. I always wanted to do it, but never did. And I found out Kev had not only done it, but was working on it. I was like, oh, it's so cool. And then they needed volunteers. I was like, whoa, I could do that. So I went out, flew out. I used some of my paid time off, did 2 weeks volunteering out there, which was like Kev said, just mainly it was just liaising with bar owners and hotel owners and dealing with the various drunken altercations that ralliers would get into, and like having to do police interviews and not like getting arrested, but I mean like there's so many ridiculous anecdotes. There's one young man, I've forgotten his name. He was British, and he was flying home, I think, on a Monday, and he must have come to us on a Saturday night and was like, I've had my phone stolen. I want to claim it on my insurance. It's like, okay, did you have your phone stolen or did you lose your phone and you want to claim it? Because they're two slightly different things. And he's like, no, it was definitely stolen. I was like, right, we're going to the police station then. He's like, what? I was like, yep, you need a police report, and Russian, because like, I'm not sure what it's like in the States, but in the UK, you get a police, you report a phone stolen, and the police just like, yeah, whatever, they'll just write you up anything, and you go on with it. In Russia, it was like, it was like Columbo. Like the depths that this police investigation. Yeah, just one more thing, and he was like, where do you think you lost it? What time? Should we call them? I'll call them. And this poor kid was just like, I just thought I wanted a piece of paper for my insurance. Like, it doesn't work like that, mate. This is why you always listen to me. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, and there's also a lot of cleaning rubbish out of bins and separating people's recycling. But one of the funnier things that got me the job with the Adventurists, and I hope Kev remembers this, is we used to have big office parties in sort of autumn time. I forget what they were called. It was like a reunion party. And because I was a Russian speaker, and I also historically love to drink, I was the barman at the Adventurous parties, and I used to go full Adidas tracksuit, fur hat, just rude to everyone, like barely communicated in English. And it's like you get a job because you know people, and they sort of think you're all right until they realize you're not. And that was sort of one of the things that got me in the door. And then
that was the brief. It was just be mean to customers and overpour the drinks.
Yeah, it's true to form though, right?
Both boxes were ticked.
So that must have been an experience, having a kind of liaison between the Adventurists and like the Russian government or wherever you might be. There's a lot of logistics involved. There's a lot of people coming through, and it's got to be a little bit nerve-wracking dealing, because like you said, even with the police report, the Russian government does not play games like in any form or fashion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I have been banned from that country, so.
Really?
I was banned for 3 years for a visa violation, which I contested in court, but I didn't. Fortunately, I didn't beat the Russian state, which is quite sad. Yeah, happens.
Not everyone can say that.
But no, yeah, I think
right.
I think you're right. Like, it is. I think for a lot of people who do events like that, they just see the trip from their perspective, and that they aren't necessarily aware of all of the intricacies that go in behind that. Not just the sort of liaising with local government or working with shipping partners to make sure we don't need vehicles. There's all of these like banal, or what seem like banal sort of aesthetic decisions that we have to talk through. What's the room layout? Like there's loads that goes into it that just feels, to make it feel as like natural as it does. And it's those, and not to mention risk assessments and like evacuation plans.
I mean, Ryan, you were at the launch in Prague, right?
Yes, and I was going to speak on that a little bit. I mean, just the creation of Junktown in general, and that whole environment that you guys created, like between the launch, just like the games and like just the activities, the food, the drink, everything that came together for that was just insane. And it's just like the background stuff, right? I mean, it's difficult.
And Tom had to do the risk assessment for that site.
Yeah, it was,
which I can't remember how long the circular road was, Tom. Was it a mile or two?
Mile and a bit, something like that. We had to, because you might remember you were camping like amongst all the silos. We must have got there about 4 or 5 days before, and we had sort of teams. It's a bit like when you see, this is quite a morbid analogy, so bear with me.
I know exactly where you're going with it.
You know when there's like a lost person, and there's like a gang of people, and they're like combing through a woodland looking for someone.
Right.
So we had that. Bear with me. Stay with me. I promise. We had that looking for like roots and stumps of trees that were big enough that if someone fell, they'd hurt themselves. And then we'd spray paint on them. And I would then come back later and cut it out to make sure that there wasn't like that's like the sort of the granularity with which you have to go to make that place safe.
There
It was
was a
hot.
network of underground tunnels there with occasional holes just in the middle of the forest. That it was just wild. And the whole Junktown thing was it's a year-round deal. There's people that live on that site that dress that way, and it's like that Mad Max post-apocalyptic world. Unfortunately, the guy on the ground out in Czech Republic he's amazing guy. So that, I think personally 2019, I can't speak for Tom, but that felt like we almost hit the sweet spot there, and I came away from it being like pretty fucking happy with that year, because by the end of the summer usually it would just be like never doing that again, never ever want to do that again. And 2019, it just kind of felt like it was packaged up nicely from our side anyway. If there's any negatives from your side, Ryan, I don't want to hear them, to be entirely frank.
Email the company, not us. That's not our problem anymore.
No, entirely. I mean, it was, sorry to cut you off, Tom. I felt like it was so seamless and such a great, like that Mad Max theme. It was just so much fun. It was a drunken mess. But it was just so much fun. I believe it rained that year, and it became decently, muddy. And then there ended up like people were wrestling in the mud. I mean, everyone just made the best out of the situation, and I think it just came together wonderfully. And I appreciate all the hard work you guys put in. For our team, we just had our window busted out in Prague. We were haggard, but by the time we got there, we had a garbage bag like for one of the windows. When we arrived, everyone was so kind, and we just had a great time, man.
Hell yeah. So yeah, that one felt like we got it right. And that was the first time in the 5 years that we organized the rally that I was really happy.
But we did have some mad setbacks that year, like when the riot police turned up to the main square and started beating up protesters.
Oh yeah, that was at the finish line.
We got a call from the mayor being like, "You guys need to move." I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, give us a few days. We'll get the band. We'll get like a lorry round, a truck round to pick it up." It's like, no, now. Move now.
Holy cow! I never heard of. I didn't hear about that one.
Well,
it was
that's
all
need to know.
Yeah,
smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had backups, and yeah, that was nuts. That really was nuts. But yeah, still part of the course.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys putting all that on, and you don't see the behind the scenes things where people are just really working with governments and all these things, because you got a bunch of idiots bumbling around in little vehicles. You're trying to like corral all this chaos.
It takes a surprising amount of effort to enable people to be idiots in other places without serious ramifications.
But there were even some serious ramifications. I'm not sure if it was 2018 or 19, but people from New Zealand got banned from all hotels in the city.
Yeah, it was 2019.
That was because there was a big group of Kiwis. I'm not sure if you ever came across them, but they were very inappropriate the entire way, and we'd hear from different consulates. It was like, okay, well, now we're expecting these guys, and then within a couple of days, Kiwis were getting turned away from hotels, and just because they were the same nationality.
Yeah, and one group will ruin it, but like Kiwis are the exact opposite. They're usually pretty reserved, and
that's the thing. You end up having that many people come through. You're like, in my head, it's Aussies are the worst. They're always going to be, they're wild, they're feral, blah 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 blah, and then Kiwis have that, they're wholesome, they're quieter. By the end of the Mongol Rally, for me, I'm like, it is totally the other way around. I admire the redneck in Australia, and there's pride, but there's not arrogance with it. I think. Whereas I found by the end of it, I'm like, New Zealanders, they're a little snootier than Aussies. Though I have to say that my partner is Australian, so Isn't
No,
that
you're
right,
saying
babe?
that under duress.
Yes. Yes, Australia's way better. Thanks. Yeah.
Totally not wild or crazy or
No.
totally chaotic
Level-headed,
or anything.
kind. Yeah, not prone to throwing things at people at Christmas. That's an inside joke. But yeah, we were lucky. We were lucky to, and also like a lot of skills that are learned that we obviously take with us now, and sort of not just like how to do things, but also like me and Kev worked on about 5 or 6 different events in God knows how many countries, and it gives you this sort of like I don't want to say like self-confidence or arrogance, because that generally sounds like arrogance, but this sort of feeling that, if you have an idea, no matter, regardless of how potentially stupid it sounds or unworkable, you can have a crack at it, and you can work in other countries, and you can liaise with other people and hopefully get something done that you're really proud of. So yeah, I think it's been really good for my self-esteem, like getting a child.
I think it was the
Terrible for my
opposite for
hairline.
me. It was just having to put on this constant face of like, I don't know, the pain at some points that was just like, it would just take over your entire body and you'd be flat out for like a week. Like there was some crazy stuff that happened in Morocco with Tom and I, and Tom had to basically work for 2 entire days straight with no break. He was assembling bikes, and I was traveling down to meet him, and he just left me a voice note before I arrived, and it was just, that doesn't matter. I'm gonna go to bed. I'll see you in a bit. And that was it. And he'd done loads, but the handover was just this blurry, could barely stand up, just mess. But yeah, it gives you a thick skin, especially for places that otherwise would seem very scary. In the middle of Russia, dealing with politicians and things like that, sounds terrifying to anyone. But after doing it for 4 years out there, it's just like, oh, that's just Sergey again. It's fine. Dennis,
Yeah.
he looks like a giant baby, runs the city. It's bizarre.
So you're working with the Adventurists for so many years, organizing these events, talking to these government officials or whoever it might be, the mayor. You're dealing with tour guides or whoever it may be, fixers of any sort. That primed you to start your own company, which is Nerpa Travel. I wanted to kind of transition into that and speak on what you're building yourselves, and it's really cool adventure company.
Thanks, man. And it's at this point I will ask Tom to be the bigger man or the smaller man, whatever you want to be.
I'll be Biggie to your smalls. Yeah, I guess maybe like a little bit of like background about how we actually started. So, like all great things, COVID-19 was the sort of impetus for us starting something together. The main impetus being that we all lost our jobs because travel industry doesn't really work when no one can travel. So yeah, we got made redundant, and over the years, me and Kev, we've become really good friends, not just colleagues, and we'd chat about what we liked from the Adventurists, what our sort of personal philosophies are, what we didn't like from the Adventurists, what we'd do differently. And I think we just got to a point where we were like, well, we think that obviously with the climate catastrophe that's ongoing, hence the massive heat wave that's in the UK last week, where it was like 40 degrees or whatever. There's a need for a more equitable transition to a green future. Electric vehicles and sustainably powered vehicles, whether that's human powered or whatever, are the future. No one's trying to demonstrate just how capable they can be. That might be for a very good reason, but we should at least try and find out. So then we were like, oh, cool, we'll set up a company. And then we labored over what to call it. And then ended up on Nerpa because, and I'm sorry to step on the one animal fact of the episode. I'm sure Kev will find a way of getting another one in. Nerpa is a seal that is a freshwater seal that's endemic to the lake next to Ulan-Ude, the finish of the Mongol Rally, Lake Baikal. So it's a nice little nod to where we used to work together and our sort of initial friendship. It's this sort of multi-disciplinary animal. Is that such a thing? So yeah, that's Nerpa. And then we spent years just like trying to get something off the ground. We've got about 20 different event concepts in the depths of our Google Drive, from electric longtail boats to electric unicycle events, like bizarre triathlons.
I'm trying to
penny
think what the first
farthings.
idea actually was. Was it the longtails?
Yeah, would have been the longtails.
So you know
Yeah.
the longtail boats in Southeast Asia that you see, off the
Correct.
back, they
Yeah.
got the long
With
propellers.
the big motors and
Yeah.
they do the races in Thailand.
So that is synonymous with Southeast Asia, is that noise of the boats just off in the distance, anywhere near water. But we found a lady who produces like electric conversion kits in Bali, and we built a route. We did everything. We had like this amazing concept in place, and it is almost impossible to get a tourist to drive any motored boat on inland waterways in Southeast Asia. So our plan was to do like a huge leg of the Mekong River. And yeah, it's just after all that planning, it was just like, it's impossible. It's impossible to do. So we've got more and more ideas, and a couple stuck with some other people we know, and then we actually, got things off the ground a little bit.
It's just illegal. You can't, as a non-citizen of most countries in Southeast Asia, you just can't get a license to legally operate a boat on inland waterways, which makes it difficult, because guided trips aren't fun. Well, no, that's not true. They are fun. They're just not what we wanted to do. So the prospect of you trying to sell something as this, like, navigate waterways on an electric boat, but the second you touch the till or like the rudder, straight to jail, is probably not not the best thing. So one day that event will happen.
I even went so far as to I'm not sure if the Grand Tour or Top Gear makes it over to the States very much. It was a bit of a staple growing up here. But there was an episode where they all get boats and they travel down from the Tonle Sap into the Mekong Delta, and they somehow got permits. So I went so far as to like finding each researcher, like watching the episode and then getting the names of the researchers as they were coming down on the screen, hunting them down on LinkedIn and just being like, how the fuck did you get permission to do this? Like I've been approaching government officials and things like that just to work it out, see if we could get special permissions. Tom will know I'm a big fan of trying to blag stuff and schmooze my way in. But no luck on the Mekong as of yet. We'll get there though.
That's an incredible idea, though. I think that would be an awesome adventure. I did a little piece of the Mekong last year. I didn't drive the boat, obviously, but it was from Phnom Penh to Kanto.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
I was going to say, when you were saying
Delta,
it, there was going to be a SWAT team busting through your back door there.
Yeah.
We got him.
Yeah.
He did
it. So you go over all these ideas and you reach this electric motorbike adventure in Vietnam. So eventually you go from a river to a road trip on motorbikes.
Like a seal,
Yeah,
right?
Well, I was going to say much like how the first creatures crawled out of water onto land. That's where my sin would be. No, I think a lot of our problem early on was me and Kev have got this background of organizing stuff, less so selling stuff. So we were really fortunate that a good friend of ours at Lost Travel was in touch with Kev, and we said, we have this idea for an event. Would you be willing to take a punt on us? We'll organize it. We'll sort of co-brand it, and it'll be the first of its kind in the world. We think it can work. And they said, yeah. And now I'll hand over to Kevin to continue the story.
Oh, with Vietnam. So yeah, we had the concept. So we had to find a vehicle that we thought was suitable, was unique enough, and was fun. We needed to find a location, and then work out if we were allowed to do it. And Vietnam motorbikes, there's loads and loads of like startup electric vehicle companies coming out of Southeast Asia and China. And there was a specific bike there that really did it for us, called the Dat Bike Weaver, because they look like these old cafe racers. They've got the tan seats. They've got that old school like scrambler look. And the range is good. And we were like, it's these guys. They've got to be the one for this adventure. It's sick. And we got over there. Tom tested the bike and a bit of the route, and then we kind of pincer attack. I don't want to.
Yeah, let's keep the military metaphors.
Yeah,
out of
especially with an American audience. We both Tom went and tested the bike. I went and kind of shook hands with people, checked out some of the locations, because with the epilepsy thing, I can't drive. So we just kind of, and then met in the middle, sat down, and we were like, right, this works. It's going to work. Did a bit of a report for the guys in the States, Lost Travel. Brought a group over, and it was one of those things that, because we're so experienced in shit hitting the fan, we just spent the whole time like, is it going to work? What's going to go wrong? What's going to go wrong? And it just went really well. So it was, I think, bizarre.
I think Kev's sort of comment about shit hitting the fan, like with the stuff we did for the Adventurists, whether it's the Mongol Rally or the Monkey Run, it's very much focused around giving someone using an inadequate vehicle for the task at hand, and it sort of tries to create these moments of human interaction. And Ryan, you'll know this really well. Like, your car broke down multiple times. You found a shop. You pointed at things and got your phone out, and you have these sort of moments where you connect with people. We didn't want to give people vehicles that would break down, partly because that's not the trip we'd like to do. We wanted the vehicle to work, but those moments, those touch points where you interact with local people, is when you charge the vehicle. So we were really lucky that the bikes, you could charge them up in 4 hours from 0 to 200 kilometer max range. So you could do a day's riding just. Why would you, when you can stop, plug your bike in from a standard plug socket, explore a town, meet people, create those sort of cultural contact moments, and then continue on your journey to the next spot. So for us, the great thing about the electric bike in Vietnam is that it allowed us to make sure that all of the riders have unique, amazing stories from their trip. But those stories aren't, oh, do you remember that time we had to resolder the swing arm? That was great when we sat around for 8 hours in the dark. Like, so it's just sort of, and I think that's why me and Kev were like, when is the big problem going to happen? Because you'd sort of always assume that there'd be a grand issue, but yeah, luckily, and so far, touch wood, that's not been the case in Vietnam.
Well, I guess, and no, it's better for you too, because it gives you a foundation of, hey, when things do go wrong, we do have these tools in place that we can kind of mitigate the fallout more or less. And the Mongol Rally especially is just set up for disaster and try to find your way out of that. And the
Mm.
beauty of that is you need to go meet people and network, even if it's not in your language, and try to fix the problem, figure out what's going wrong. So that gave you guys a great foundation and kind of an alertness that a lot of people that are starting their companies, whether it be a venture company, whatever, wouldn't have. So I wanted to talk about your first adventure and how that played out. I want to talk about the logistics and everything like that. You said the range is about 200 kilometers for those bikes, and you can
Yeah,
plug
so
it
it's,
into an outlet, like a regular outlet.
yeah, so you can. Sorry, I should say 200 kilometers for those who don't work in metric is about 125 miles ish. Yeah, so each bike comes with a small charger about this big. You walk into any coffee shop, fur shop, restaurant, hotel, someone's house, obviously with permission, anywhere that you can plug in a plug, you can charge the bike, and it's so easy. And
Wow.
I think one of the part of the reason why we chose that manufacturer and that model in particular is that, you know, we have a responsibility to keep sort of carbon miles down, and working with a manufacturer who sources, designs, builds, and delivers in country is really important. But also, it allowing allowing our customers to ride bikes that are domestically built means that when they do get to local villages or towns, it's just one less barrier that needs to be broken down, because people recognize that, oh yeah, it's the Vietnamese made bike, and there's like that level of sort of national pride in the fact that some people have come to their country and are using something that is of the place in a really sort of fitting way. Um, and yeah, the bikes, like, they're great. Top speed of like 60 miles an hour, fun to ride, no issues. It's just great, just really, really great. Like it's
One of my favorite things
Wow.
about it is that you can be cruising along at a very reasonable speed and just be having a conversation like this. Because the only sound you've got is a very like high pitched whiz from the motor and just the tires rolling. So
That's
you'd be
incredible, man.
It was
Yeah,
amazing.
it's
We'd
totally
go
silent.
down like the High Van Pass, and just Tom and I just be having a full blown conversation while we're riding alongside each other. Awesome.
That's awesome. And so what is the itinerary, or for at least your first adventure, what was the itinerary and how many days what was that like?
so so for that trip, for the one we're doing in Vietnam, we've sort of tweaked the itinerary a little bit to make it a bit more for what we want. But that trip was, God, I want to say it was 8 days, maybe 7 days, and then it was 3 days, and then you had sort of start party, finish party, and then a midpoint meetup. Um, we do that to sort of control the route, but we also do that to troubleshoot any issues with the bike midpoint, of which there weren't any, which is very useful. Um, so it was a bit more in the sort of, let's say, independent adventure travel. So we were very much sort of like just a safety net. But for our trip that's happening next March, we operate on, we have effectively, our trip is 10 days long, and you have two blocks of 4 days of riding with a 2-day sandwich where you go on a cave trek. So you trek into the third largest cave in the world, and you camp on a beach next to a lagoon inside a cave. And then you'll trek out. You'll do your last 4 days of riding. But I also should say that the riding itself, we want to we always have quite small groups, so we won't have more than, say, 12 to 15 people, and we want to keep the group together as much as possible, because that's where friendships are made and stories are shared. But we also want to give people a bit of independence to have that sort of like adventurous spirit, and sort of go out, have a bit of exploration. Um, So we offer accommodation every other night. So you know where you need to be in 2 days. How you get there is up to you. Where you stay on that off night is up to you. The interactions that you have won't be as part of a wider group. It'll be on your own or with the people you're traveling with. And we think when you come back together, you'll be sort of energized to share those stories and then go out again. So we think our sort of format is a bit more, hopefully will make the community a bit more cohesive as we do the trip.
And one thing I've found over the years of organizing this type of stuff is all people, when they finish, all people want is an ear. They just want someone to tell the stories to, and that's it. You know, they have this amazing experience and they'll finish, they'll inevitably be tired, but the first thing they want to do is get a beer in their hand and be like, you never guess what happened to me yesterday. And that's why we travel, right? That's why we want to tell those stories. We have the experiences and they're nice to have, but then it's, you go and tell people afterwards and it's like, that's one of the best bits. So we think the whole day on, day off gives people time for their own little micro adventure, have their own crazy experience, and then everyone comes back together around a campfire and it's like, oh my God, we ran out of battery in this place, but the lady had the best coffee in town. And it's that type of format that we want to, make a more cohesive group. I think the phrase that Tom used. So we're really excited about that format of it. It's the first time we're doing it, but we're hoping it builds a bit more camaraderie because, like the guys from Lost Travel, they've already got like a really lovely community amongst themselves, and we do to a degree. But I don't think we've been running long enough or run enough events to actually build that community that we want yet. But the way we're doing Vietnam, I think, is a really good way of bringing that into a big communal group.
Entirely. I think it's very cool that you have that flexibility. Like you're able to have a bit of agency and a bit of independence behind, at least almost half of the trip essentially. And you can make your own stories, and I think people feel better about that. There's a lot of people that want the groups and want the group tours and everything like that. But I think as far as if you're willing to get on a motorbike in Vietnam and kind of do that, you're the type of person that would want a little bit of that independence, right?
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of ticks.
Also...
Sorry, go ahead, Tom.
I feel like we were probably going to say exactly the same point. I think there's for some people, they feel comfortable just winging it on their own, and so a lot of people will just fly out to Vietnam and get a bike and ride, and that's great. But that takes courage. Maybe isn't the right word, but sort of it's not something that everyone can just instantly go to. And I think that the sort of trip, the way we've designed our trip, means that if someone does what we do and really enjoys it and feels like they're ready to take on more sort of solo style adventures, then this can almost be like a stepping stone for that. Bit of hand holding before we can go out on their own. So yeah, hopefully it will be a bit transitionary as well for them.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think it kind of ticks the boxes for most travelers. Some people want the group thing, they'll get the group thing. People want the independent travel, they'll get some of that. People like doing the expedition-y type stuff, they've got that. And the way we're doing the cave trip is we've essentially got the entire cave to ourselves. So it's just going to be us lot, just our tents, people making food, a beach inside a cave that we're all going to go swimming in. So I'm hoping it covers everything. It covers every terrain, covers some of the best food in the world, and definitely the best coffee on earth that I've had anyway. So yeah, I think Vietnam really ticks a lot of boxes. Because long distance motorcycle trips aren't really for me. They're something I'd love to do, But if I was to choose a holiday, I'd be like, I'm going to that cave. I want to go and see the monkeys that are around it. I want to go see the bats that live in it. And that's what would do it for me. So yeah, it covers a lot, and it has made it logistically a little more painful and a fair amount more expensive. But as Tom was saying, we're keeping the group small for their experience. Not so much the ease of logistics, because it's going to be painful regardless.
Yeah, you got to have that adventure element, and I think camaraderie is a big part of it, and just someone to share the experience with, and it's just really cool. You're doing this I mean, no one's doing this at, like, the electric motorbikes. You got so many different options too from to stem from this as well. But like, so you fly into Vietnam? Where are you starting and where are you finishing?
So we will be starting from a city called Hoi An. Hoi An, sort of, for those who don't know, roughly in the middle of the country. It's a UNESCO heritage site. It's
Sissy,
got
yeah.
really, really beautiful old town. The closest international airport is Da Nang, which Da Nang is a big, sort of bustling, slightly crazy city. And then from there, the riders will head north to the cave, a place called Phong Na, and then from there north again to just outside Hanoi. So we don't want to take them into the center of Hanoi, because the best one in the world is probably a little bit irresponsible. And it just means we can find a really amazing Finnish location that is sort of secluded or in nature, and we can have a Finnish party, and then we'll get everyone on a bus back into Hanoi so they can continue their journey onwards. So you're seeing half the country, which is cool, because the first trip we did Ho Chi Minh to Da Nang, so we've done the south. Now it's time for us to take it up north.
That's awesome. And you said March, the next adventure is coming up?
Yeah, March 2026. So yeah, get your spots.
2027.
That's what I said. Apologies.
So yeah, we've got that, and then we've got another couple that we're putting on sale, and there was another one that we worked on with Lost Travel, and that kind of got us working full time with Nerpa, and it was a mountain biking trip through Wales. I'm not sure if you've ever been to Wales in the UK, but Tom and I are, Nerpa's a Welsh company, and Tom is a cyclist to the extreme, and figured out a route, and we took some of the Lost group up there, and a couple of the guys from Wisconsin, they really liked us, and they said we were bad businessmen and they wanted to help us, so they've kind of become our mentors, and we're slowly but surely becoming capitalists by the sounds of it. That's what we're being told to do anyway.
And we're fighting back at every opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta at the same time, you gotta accrue a little bit of capital to make your next adventures and share that with the world, and just expand your operations. It's
Yeah, and
important.
one of the things we're expanding into is more high end type of experiences, because the guys that we're working with, they are used to the high end luxury holidays, and there was something we ended up doing on the Welsh trip that everyone was quite taken back by. I'm not sure if you get it in the States, but we have a thing over here called a lock-in, which is at the end of the night at a bar or a pub, the owner will close the curtains and lock the door. The drink money goes in a pint glass on the bar, and it's help yourself type of deal. And we, on the very first night of the cycling trip in Wales, it was giving them a bit of a rundown of the bikes and how to navigate Wales and some of the fun cultural stuff that they'll see. And then we were like, and one of the things that we're really going to try and do is get you guys a lock-in. And then conveniently, the next bar we ended up going into, he was, we were like urging the guy who ran the bar. He was like, these guys have never experienced one before. And he was like, all right. Just went over, you hear the door lock, the curtains close, and we nudge the guys and we're like, it's happening on the
Yeah,
first night.
And then the guy who owns the bar just like lights up a cigarette, and we're like, "Oh my god, it's here!" Some just lined up shots, and they got to experience this like really uniquely British thing, and it sort of made us think about like, well, this, and in fact, our American like business friends, don't know what to call them. They were like, you should do something called One Night Local, and we sort of it sat with us, and we thought, yeah, you can do this trip where you do cool, fun, high end cultural things, but within that there is this really hyper local, visceral experience that you only get if you're from that place or of that place. Because that's what all of the most memorable travel stories are. They're the sort of they're the evenings that happen by sort of serendipity or by happenstance. And we want to give people this feeling that they're, I don't know, that like someone's just like, oh, go on, we could just come out for a bit, and then that turns into this epic story. And you don't quite know what's going on or where the evening's going to go, but you trust us that we have planned it out and we know exactly what you're going to get, and it's going to be surprise after surprise, and it's going to crescendo, and you'll sort of come back with not just probably a bit of a headache, but this like new insight into how people do things in a place. And you'll, again, it's like Kev said earlier, a lot of travel is about gathering stories and gathering experiences, and you'll come back with the stories that people will get sick of you telling, and that's all we want to do.
Yeah, so we've got one of those in Thailand happening in October, and the one night local experience on that is going to be, I mean, the two we've got lined up is Wales and Thailand, and the one night local experience in the middle of those are just that no one's ever done it, and we don't want to give too much away, but it's difficult to sell something that's got a secret in the middle of it until we've got that kind of flow of people that are like, oh, that's the nugget on the inside that I want to get to. But the Wales was a very, very logical one for us because a recce would be Tom stepping out of his front door. And then Thailand, we know a few people out there, and one thing we found that would work really well is instead of using tourism fixers who are like, I'm going to take you to my friend's silk production thing, or, this is the best place that makes pad thai in the city, and it's just all of their mates and they just all pay each other. We're using TV fixers who are substantially more expensive, but also they have much better insight into the unique stories and access. So the lady we're using got Gordon Ramsay. She was taking him around rural Thailand doing like a food tour. So we're using people like that gets us really deep access, and it's going to involve us working with a Muay Thai academy in Thailand, and it's not what tourists have ever experienced before. And I'll kind of stop it there. It's not in Chiang Mai, it's further out, and we're heavily involved in the organization of something to do with Muay Thai.
That's incredible, man. So
Yeah.
the one night local, what a concept, because like you were saying, even the high end travelers, the people that want that more luxurious experience, and they'll have those comforts and everything. The stories you talk about are those culturally rich, culturally enriching experiences. Like that's what you want to come away with at the end of the day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you can't have them on a deck chair unless someone's carrying you through the city like some sort of emperor. Um, but and also I think I think people want. I think the sort of the age of like gilded travel is sort of coming to an end, and people want, rightly so, to have more connection, and the word authentic has been spoken to death in our industry, but people do want to have real experiences and meet people who aren't just this is the performative dancer. Look at the fan dance, or look at this medieval village and the underpaid staff who are wearing Romanian peasant outfits. Like they want to have real experiences, and we want to give people real experiences. And there's just one thing we didn't actually say about One Night Local is that we have an itinerary, and you can see what's happening on the trip, but we don't tell you when. So the One Night Local only happens when not when we decide, but we're the only ones who know. So we want to use that sort of energy and that expectation and allow it to sort of build and I almost said fester. That's the worst verb. To let it bubble, and get to a point where they're sort of like second guessing themselves. Like, is it happening now? Or we'll just be like, oh, come on, guys, we're all going to go out for a drink, and they're like, are they taking us somewhere? Like, are we all going to get shaved? And like, obviously that wouldn't happen, but like, we just want to have a bit of sort of
The anticipation and the element of surprise.
And the Wales one for us, because again, we grew up in Wales. It's just, for us, it's hilarious because of the thing we're actually doing. It's like, I would put £1 million that no American has ever experienced this. I'd put so much money on it.
It's so obscenely hyper local that it's just I wish we could tell you in full detail what, because it involves rugby, which is our national sport, but it's just,
and
no, we want that surprise, like that's part of it. Like that's what you get. You're not, you keep that to yourselves until the exact moment.
Yeah,
it's part of the process. It's part of the draw too.
All I'll say is we're working with an amazing comedian who was the ex-mayor of a small town.
Mayor.
Who also had mayor.
Yeah.
Sorry, and has unrivaled access to the local rugby club. So it's sort of like he's going to be our like spirit guide for the festivities, and it's going to be interesting.
And it's not a big rugby team. It's like, we'll leave it there, but basically they'll be staying in, there's this place called the Celtic Manor. As you arrive into Wales, it's like the first big Welsh flag you see. It's the first big building, and it was a Ryder Cup golf course. So you're staying in like a Roman fortress village and playing golf in this place. You're seeing, I think Wales has got the highest density of castles in the world
per square kilometre. Yeah.
So you're seeing that. You're going down the old coal mines, because Wales is, one of the biggest exports was coal, and doesn't sound that fun, but it actually is a lot of fun. And you're being taken around by a historian on those days. You go and see the Celtic coast, and then you got this One Night Local in the middle, which is maybe not in the middle or the start or the end, to be confirmed.
I think one thing I really love about the fact that we have the opportunity to organize trips in our own country is just like the joy of being able to show people the Wales that we know, or like I just get really like, I've got fizz with excitement to be like, oh my god, we're gonna take them there, we're gonna take them there. Oh, we should do that, and just be like, God, imagine taking Americans to the valleys. Like they wouldn't comprehend, and they're like, well, let's just do it, and it's sort of like, and Wales doesn't get enough love in the world of tourism. It's got everything.
It's got history, so slept nature. On, man. Like, I'm not sure if you've ever had the chance to get
amazing.
Over. It's
not yet.
I mean, obviously, we're both Welsh, so we're very biased, but it is the best country in the UK by a long way. And it's
like one of the experiences on the mountain bike trip we did in spring last year. We went through Welsh speaking towns. So like we went up to the bar stuff, and what we were saying with Tom earlier, like be the angry Russian that doesn't speak English, we just went up to all the staff in the hotel and we were like, just speak to them in Welsh. Because Welsh was a language that just got completely stifled and destroyed by the British or the English. But there's these little pockets towards like the mid Wales and north that they're all still Welsh speaking places, and it's where Tolkien got the inspiration for Elvish in Lord of the Rings. So they sound really similar. So like they'd go up and be like, "Oh, can I get a pint of Guinness or whatever?" And they would just come back in Welsh language. Like I can't even speak Welsh. Tom can speak more than I can, but by no means are we fluent in any way.
Tiny amounts.
And it's usually just the funny words, you know. But yeah, Wales has got some magic about it. It's got everything. It's amazing.
And it's just like having the ability to share the place that you're from with the outside world that's a bit more obscure. And it's cool to have these ventures halfway across the world in Vietnam or wherever, which Southeast Asia is an incredible region of the world, but having those adventures in your own backyard is another level of pride as well.
Yeah, and I guess being able to show people all of the bits that no one else will see. Like we could organize a trip in Cardiff and show people all of the same things everyone else sees, or I could take them down the old rugby club I used to play for when I was 15, and it would be infinitely more real to what actual Welsh life is like, and I would argue more fun.
Oh, 100%. You go in, it's like $2 for a pint of beer in some of those places, and yeah, and especially if you've got. But our audience is primarily for the one night local stuff. It's primarily Americans. And bringing a bunch of Americans into a rural Welsh rugby club it's kind of throwing people to the wolves, but in the most endearing way.
Yeah, but I guess we're there. Like we're sort of.
But the Welsh are a very we say over here they take the piss. They take the piss out a lot, so they make fun of you constantly. It wouldn't be Wales if you weren't getting made fun of, basically. So Americans, they're very generous. Usually, you know, you go behind the bar and they're like, "Oh, I'll get this person, this person." If they were like, "I'm going to put my card behind the bar," the whole town would just turn up and they'd be like, "All right, one beer for me." And it's it's to get a proper experience in Wales. Like if you're with a Welsh person, you're like, I know Jim, he's down in that pub. He's going to bring all the boys later, and it's just an amazing place and small as well. So you can hit so much in such a short space of time, and we're both so passionate about it. Tom more so than me. Tom is born and bred Wales. I just grew up there. But the reason we chose Wales was during our Vietnam trip, and we were saying about the community aspect, we all sat down at the halfway point and we were like, okay, where do you guys want to go next? Do you want to go to Wales or do you want to go to Ireland? Because my family are Irish, and I was like, oh, we've got to take them to America. We got to take the Americans to Ireland, and you know, everyone in America thinks they're Irish, so let's show them what it really means. But Tom, the love he has for Wales just completely outshone what I knew about Ireland. So the group decided where we were going next. And that's the type of community we want to build. So the next Vietnam trip we want to do is like, where do you want to go? Like, where do you think works? Central Africa, maybe?
I love that. I love that. You're giving people that flexibility and the kind of the reins, more or less, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, it's ownership.
And it was fun because it was Tom and I arguing on the beach, and it was a group of like 15 people. Everyone stood around with beers and we just had dinner. It was amazing, just us. And it was just me and Tom arguing with each other about which country we love more. And, you know, we didn't open it up and be like, pick anywhere in the world you want, because then you got democracy, and that doesn't work. But that's why we're going back to Wales, and where there's a lot of shine on Wales at the moment, because I mean, you might have heard of the Welcome to Wrexham documentary with Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney. We actually went to a Tourism Wales meeting recently, and they were like, if you're a Welsh company, you're dumb for not jumping on the back of this light that's being shone on Wales. And Wrexham isn't even Wales, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, hey Wrexham.
Wrexham is
it's one of
like
those,
this border town that's like,
Half
but we
in, half
can't
out.
be seen saying that. Go Wales! We're so glad all these tourists are coming.
Wales is really tribal, north south. Like
Yeah.
I'm from a town, from a city called Swansea, which is the second city. I now live in Cardiff, which is the first city, and I moved here by accident, and I promised myself I'd never live in this place because it's not Swansea, but it is better and it's nicer. So like I genuinely feel I just have to bite my tongue and talk up Wrexham, even though it pains me.
Well, anything to shed a good spotlight on the country and to bring more people there and to grow your tourist market. You know, anything for that.
For sure.
We're going to wrap this up here, but I wanted you to leave something about what are you excited about for the future? You got Wales coming up. You got things in Southeast Asia. Do you want to leave anything with the listeners before we head out of here?
For me, it's just keep an eye on early next year, because we've got the one night local in Wales. We're planning Tour de France is coming through the UK and through Wales next spring. So keep an eye out for something there if you like cycling and sport like that. And then Tom's working on something far more exotic. And I'm not sure how much you want to leave on the table there, Tom.
I'll be as vague as I can whilst increasing excitement levels. But I'll be remiss if I didn't say nerpatravel.com, so NERPA travel.com, and then you can find us on all the various socials, LinkedIn, Instagram. I think we have a TikTok that we both detest.
Yeah.
And if you're of that generation, Facebook. But yeah, next, what I'm looking forward to, top secret TBA event, CIA, NS and I, B&Q in Africa. We're just putting the finishing touches on an agreement with another company to put something on there, and it's going to be probably the ultimate proof of concept for just what you can do on electric vehicles.
It's like the Vietnam trip, but on steroids.
I turned up
right up
a few more notches.
Yeah, imagine that, but in Africa, maybe more than one country.
What time frame are we talking about? Like, are we talking about late next year, 2028?
Summer 27 is when we hope to have it.
Summer 27.
Yeah. So keep your summers free.
Oh, and there's one thing we've not actually spoken about on any podcast or in public, really, is that we are doing kind of stripped back versions for like corporate. So we're doing a very stripped back version of the Vietnam trip and reducing it to a calendar week. So you don't do the second part, you just do the opening section, finish with the cave. So there are, we are approaching corporates and trying to put those types of packages together in Wales, in Vietnam, in Thailand. So if you are a large corporate company, get in touch and we can put the best team building exercises on earth together, and we can, have your Q4 final meeting in the third largest cave in the world. So let us know if you need our help.
Yeah, just to say that it beats, for the same cost, it is so much better than taking your team to Reno and having some really boring gambling whilst pretending that you all like each other. Come to Vietnam with us and ride electric motorbikes. It's a bit of a no-brainer.
That's the ultimate team building, man. Yeah, exactly. It's a no-brainer.
And when middle management annoys you, you just flick an indicator on and you just take a different route.
Oh man, guys, it's been such a pleasure to have you on today.
Oh, thanks
And
for having us, man. It's
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, it's been nice. It's always nice to kind of purge our thoughts on what's to come and what's been.
well, it's exciting. You guys got to have a lot of exciting adventures coming up, and I'm excited for the future of Nerpa Travel.
Oh, likewise,
Thanks, man.
man. We'll have to get you along for something. Yeah, let's do people, places, and things recording somewhere better than our bedrooms.
Entirely, yeah. I'm definitely coming on one of your adventures.
More than welcome, my man. Let us know.
Yeah,
And
anytime.
I mean, if you do end up coming and your listeners are interested, get in touch, and I'm sure we can work out a discount for your audience and something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and we want to take care of you guys too. So that's definitely going to be in the works for sure.
My man. Nice one.
All right. Thank you guys for coming on and spending your time here today.
No, thanks for having us. It's been a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
All right. And we'll see you next time. Folks, always remember, the world is your oyster.
That's it for this episode of People, Places, and Things. Follow along at Ppt.travel.com, on YouTube at Ppt.travel, and Instagram at JR_low. Until next time, keep exploring.